Hello, everybody. This is Jennifer Jennings, your intuitive astrologer here in Nashville, Tennessee. Thanks so much for joining me again today. This is a lot of energies. I'm not expecting anyone to understand these energies as far as how I am intuitively able to read them. But if you follow along, you can kind of get an idea of how I'm telling a story with the energies that you are seeing here on the screen. This video is in memory of Tristan Peltier. I have 5 charts pulled up at the same time, and these 5 charts are telling a story. I'm not going to tell the full, long, drawn out story of all the energies that are at play here. It would take me a very, very long time. But this is going to give you an idea how I can take one event, I can add other events to it to tell a story that is a very long story, and it only took a second for these energies to come together. When we think about how much energy that we work with on a daily basis, it is a overwhelming amount of energy that we come here with that is contained within a physical body. He is a strong energy that I just met. This chart is divided into 23 8. 23 is with the Father, with work, with the Father and the collective, about the unconscious. The 8 is about the earth and her resources and her health, our mental health. And it's about balance. It's about the intensity of the phoenix who rises from the ashes. It is the Trinity of life and death and regeneration of our energies. This chart in the inner wheel is yesterday at 4:41, and I'm using these energies of my meeting with Shawna as an event. I met her, I captured the time. Our meeting was about her deceased son, how energies continue on. They never cease. So we have the event time. We have Tristan's natal chart. We have Shawna's natal chart. We have my natal chart. We have the chart when Tristan left, the day that he left the earth, what was going on when he left, and why he left. When Shawna and I spoke, the energies were rising with Taurus, and this is the energy that we are feeding off of. This energy that rose with Taurus, it rose with Uranus in the first house at 8 degrees. So we are rising with Uranus. We are talking about the magnetic field of energies, these fields of energies that tell their own story. This middle inner wheel is Tristan's birth chart. At the event time with Uranus at 8 degrees, the earth was at a 9 degrees when she and I spoke. Tristan is coming in and he's talking with this 9 degrees of the magnetic field of earth. He is using his energies with Hygeia to communicate. He's also using the love of Venus, his sun, but mostly Vulcan. He's using what he knows from the past with God, this strong energy drive of 18. The health of the earth is what is really important to Tristan, and that is what he is conveying when he comes in to talk to us, uses Chronos, this 8 degrees of Chronos, this time with me, and ascends my higher consciousness with him. Higher awareness that I have with this 7 degrees of the higher consciousness is with Neptune. And this is where he is meeting me with these partnerships, with the psychic palace. He's been here at this 8 degrees because he loves to regenerate relationships and partnerships, and he likes transformation. Using these energies to transform is why he left. And this 27 degrees of Earth is where my Vulcan is here in the unconscious with this conversation. He's using these energies that are around to reach this North Node and showing that it was so important for him to let go of this earthly burden and all these material possessions, and the success is in the future. His success was in the future, meeting with Venus, his mother, reaching this wheel that was set into motion when he was born. And this wheel that was set into motion when he was born was to give this higher awareness with Vesta. This is the godly energy. This is the priestly energy, the life and death of our energy here on earth. This is what he came here to do with God, is to reach this attainment with the Piscean energy. And Neptune right now is at 18 degrees in Pisces. And so this Neptune, the sacrifice that he made, he is still using these energies because Vesta is the Christ consciousness. She is the life and the death. She is the worker here on earth, and she does God's work. This is where he was doing God's work and where he continues to do God's work per this meeting of she and I. There was a mothering energy that was being taught about the future. And Neptune here in the 11th house is transiting with this 18 degrees of Pisces. And it's a critical time that this mothering energy is being taught to this group, to the Aquarian age, that we are going to be letting go of what we think the future is supposed to be. And he is teaching us through this intense experience with his mother, through this 23 degrees, which is also my son, because there is a will that needs to be done. There is a will that's being done with his North Node. The 11 degrees is being found in mom's chart. This 11 degrees of Saturn, when Tristan left, there was an 11 degrees with Jupiter. And this is a teaching, creative, children. This is where he's trying to ground with this creativity. He is expanding his creative self, and that he is inspired by children, by expressing his fun, by expressing his creativity about children and having fun and giving of service and these spiritual ideals that he is teaching us. Tristan brings balance with this 1 degree in Zeus. And this 1 degree with Zeus with his mother is where she carries this wound in her unconscious. Here's another angle to look at the conversation that I've been having with Tristan. This is this morning's transits. This is Tristan, and this is me. So I'm taking an event of this morning, and this is where he is rising at a critical degree. It's intense on the earth with this 10 degrees with Pisces. Tristan is rising with Cupid. This is where he is meeting me. He is transforming with his leadership as he rises this morning with me, helping me to understand the accident that he had while traveling. He gives me this psychic intuitive gnosis about the travel. He's using this house to communicate with me in a psychic way in my unconscious. And it's very intense because of all the energies that I'm connected with this house of groups for the future wisdom that he's bringing me from his wound, because it's critical that he give back during this futuristic time that we're in with this 22 degrees that is hitting my Uranus, and we are connecting through the magnetism, the electromagnetic field. This is where I'm meeting my mark this morning with Tristan. Tristan is working behind the scenes. He's meeting his North Node this morning, and he's given me a strong drive with this 18 degrees. And his 18 degrees is with this Neptune, with God at home, talking about the wound that is critical that he left for balance. The sun at the time that I'm doing this recording is at a 10 degrees in Scorpio. It's intense wisdom, and my will is being done at 14 degrees. When his mom and I spoke yesterday, it was important that I understand the future that he is trying to convey about my work. There is a teaching that's happening about Pluto and Pallas. There is a teaching that's happening with me as I meet my North Node with my strong initiating, driving energy at 21 degrees. This 21 degrees is where he meets his Vulcan. This is where thy will is being done with his mom, whom he loves very, very much. This 21 degrees is where he is able to make relations right and teach wisdom. He's given me the creativity to take this 21 degrees that he left with to reach this midheaven of 22. And he gives me this wisdom to bring into my 22 a creativity with the electromagnetic fields. He gives me this intense experience, and the conversation spend balance toward his mother, Shawna, toward his critical wound, and his intense wisdom about the 22 on Earth that his sun gives a lot of light to, which is his magnetism. With this conversation, he meets the mark. His mom meets her north node. I meet my mark. And when he exited, he met his mark per our conversation that was captured. This is his message to us. For Tristan, relationships were very important. The midheaven was the same degree as the moon. He was meeting this higher awareness with God and with his mom through this exit, making partnerships right, because she would have authority using this psychic awareness, this mediumship that she is not yet aware of. And so this teaching is all about the higher awareness. This is what he reached, that north node for the partnerships, to go deeper, to go deep with Pluto into the 8th house and see the potential that has not been recognized. That's what Pluto means in the 8th house. He's wanting to be united this way through this unconscious house today is where he is wanting to talk to the group to give this balance that the 21 brings and to use it here, because he wants to teach us about the health of the planet and how we are going to have to be more creative and to stop all the discord and to use these energies to empower us, because we have the wound. We have the wound here, and we are working it out with Pisces. And it's critical that we are having this conversation with Pluto, with this futuristic, deeper consciousness that I'm talking about. And we're reaching the north node. We are reaching the mark. We are reaching this criticalness of the moon with mom and the 1 degrees. Because Tristan is very powerful leader with this unconscious, with Cupid and with this 1 degree. It's critical that he bring this wisdom and balance to the group. This is where he meets his mark all the time. And he does it with mom and with the 23 degree of my son, with this 22 degree of his son, with my Uranus. He's very strong, creating with Venus and Mercury about the health of the planet and how we need to let go of these earthly material burdens and really get into this higher awareness with Juno, with Hera, and get into this relationship, these partnerships that are not violent and that are stimulating rather than being non-attached. This 5 degree is where he was challenged in the opposition with marriage, with children, and meeting his mark and balancing his soul group. This is now another angle. This is Tristan's birth chart. This is Jesus the Christ. birth chart that I was intuitively given in 2018. I also call it the tree of life. I call it pi. This is where Jesus meets Tristan all the time. Let's start here. There is, when Tristan left, there was a sacrifice of this consciousness. The unconscious is where Tristan wanted to work. This 11 degrees with Jupiter is where Christ met him and spoke to him. Tristan was meeting his joy at 2 degrees. There was a ending, and there was a transformative leader with a powerful personality. Tristan understood the change that was taking place, as there is a global futuristic change. He was shown that the earth resources, the monetary success was not what he was here to do. Tristan understood this as he met his midheaven, and as he left this weight of the world with the 8, he was meeting his north node with Christ. The north and the south node was letting go of the weight. There was a communication with Cupid at the 8 degrees. And as you know, Tristan loved to regenerate this energy. Not only when Tristan left did he regenerate this energy, but he picked up where he left off with this powerful energy of the 12th house, this consciousness that was teaching him. This wound is where he let go, and he ascended with the Father for the experience of the electromagnetism of travel with the future coming age. And this is where he sacrificed children, where he sacrificed his future for this futuristic love that was going to be taking place with God. And the shakeups that were happening were very intense. And he was being shown about his work with Vesta, is where he was being shined on, where God's will was being done with this exit, and that his work continues. This godly work of the unconscious is where Tristan teaches about death. It's the balancing, initiating energies that allow us to transform from the earth. Partnerships is definitely where Tristan's passing through this realm to the next shook up a lot of dark feelings. There was a letting go of the earthly burdens, and they were being taught at the moment of exit. It was being taught that these earthly burdens that he was letting go was from the Venus energy of the higher mind. And so the soul group exit, there was a will being done with this 21 degrees for the 12 degree of Venus, this higher awareness with mom, with his soul group. The higher learning is what his sojourn on earth was all about, was this higher learning of love, this initiating energy with love, understanding how the higher mind with Uranus can really transform relationships, and how he can study and travel with the higher awareness that the future of this 22 degrees when he exited. This 22 degrees was for the future. Jesus has the 22 degrees of the future that grounds the children, that grounds creativity. It brings wisdom. It brings this higher gnosis in the Aquarian age where we master love. Tristan's exit was for the future higher gnosis of communication with mom and dad at home, the earth as a home, and this is how he works. Again, mom and dad, my son, and God as we meet this 23-degree Mayhem for the future that brings in this 22 degrees with Jupiter. Jupiter is with the Father at 21 degrees when Shawna and I have this conversation, and that is exactly where the wisdom of this video is given wisdom. And mastering this Mars energy with God to bring to you this gnosis about the transits that are taking place right now and how strong it is for the energies of the unseen to really be tapped into right now. This morning's energies have the moon at a 1 degree. This 1 degree, these energies can be read and they can be seen for the pattern language, the ancient language pattern that they are. And this intuitive balance that Tristan is bringing is a lot of energy. It brings a lot of deep, darker emotions that we would rather probably push away. We are very connected to the earth, and the earth plays a role in the solar system. And that is what these spirits are conveying to us, is that when we have a role to play, each incarnation, it is not for ourselves, it is to make the world a better place. And when we neglect our duties of the future, when we neglect these duties, we are no longer able to sustain into the future, no longer able to talk about the future. It becomes a burden. And we have to take the wisdom and communicate about God, about our relationships, about our partnerships, and really come together with the wholeness that God brings in any relationship when we are not being perfect, but when we are balancing these energies. There is a lesson and there is a conversation that Tristan and Christ would be having about the future health of the planet. There is a teaching going on of the future, the dark emotions, transforming these dark emotions with a strong drive is what Tristan likes to do with his energy that is very intense. And he is being taught, has been taught, how to let go, how to ascend, how to love with this Neptune, with Pallas, with Uranus, with Jupiter, with Vesta, with all these energies. We can use them or we can abuse them. This is where the North Node of the sacrifice was intense with this unconscious, and it is noted. We need to create with this higher mind and let go of the weight. He's reflective here with the future of the higher awareness that this 22 with Jesus brings. And it's with his mom's son that he is connecting to through me and through this energy that is still ongoing. This 8th house is where he met his midheaven, his north node, his strong drive to help other people overcome their dark emotions in the future. He's a teacher about balance, about wounds, about the magnetic field. Intense wisdom is what he brings with the Christ energy of Palace. This is a teaching house. He doesn't have a job, but what he does is he brings to the group this teaching leadership of regenerating this energy of love and how we can ascend the unconscious realm because we are all one. We are one working together for the betterment of mankind, for the earth, for one another. And this is just showing that our energies are always going. They never stop going. We're always meeting our mark. We're always making a sacrifice that could be critical. So I hope you enjoyed this. Again, this was dedicated to Tristan Peltier, who is teaching me another way to interpret what I see. And so I just want to thank his mother for contacting me yesterday and allowing me to bring this to you guys because this is what Tristan wanted and this is what I wanted because he and I both are obedient with the future awareness that is critical that we make these sacrifices and teach other people what we really know. Hope you all have a great day. We'll talk to you guys again soon. All right, we'll see you. Peace.